The time is now 7 o'clock.
Summer has definitely come and gone. Oh, finally, right? But as we saw this past weekend, the typhoon season is very much here. Heavy rains opened up this huge sinkhole in Busan, and there were floodings in the usual areas. And that is the problem, that these flood-prone areas, they remain so flood-prone. So as the fall typhoon season is upon us, there's this urgent need to tend to these spots before the next typhoon hits. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Tuesday, September 24th on BEFM, 부산 영어 방송. Good morning, Wavers. Let me start with a question. How many of you opened up your windows and had to shut them because it was a little chilly yesterday? Well, I did actually. It was such a nice day. I got home from work. I asked my roommate to open up all the windows. We aired out the apartment. It was so nice. And then around like 9:30, 10, I was kind of like, oh, it's a little chilly. Can you close all the windows again? And that was a great change, a reprieve from all the air conditioning we had on all summer long. So I was thankful for that. However, let's talk about what happened over the weekend. The puddles, they may have dried up from the weekend's heavy rain. The recovery work is underway for all those damaged areas. That's true. And there are over 1,400 spots that have reported floods, damaged manholes, and damaged roads. A lot of these areas are concentrated in Sasang, Suyeong, and Yeonju districts, areas that are already prone to flooding. So if you've lived in Busan long enough, you probably know which roads or intersections will flood and do your best to avoid these spots when it rains a lot. And that is because these areas, they tend to flood time after time, which raises questions and concerns about the drainage and flood prevention systems. There is work being done over some of these areas, like the project to build a rainwater collection system under Oncheoncheon. But other areas have seen delays in their projects due to budgetary reasons and red tape. As we know, however, nature does not wait, and this is certainly a time-sensitive issue. So here's hoping that, with the budget constraints, the time constraints, that something is done quickly. We don't want any more of these so-called accidents popping up. We don't want people getting injured, hurt, or, dying because of floods. All right, that is the main overall story for today. Let's get to our text topic. Are you ready? There are different types of smarts out there. Book smart, street smart, being smart at your job. Okay? So what kind of smart are you? Oh, maybe you're smart in the love department. I don't know. So what kind of smart are you? And what kind of smart do you want to pass down, assuming you have children or want to have children, down to the next generation or to your own child? 자, 일머리, 공부머리. 세상 물정의 밝은 street smart이라고 부르는데요. 다양한 머리가 있는데요. 나는 무슨 머리가 좋다. 그런 거 이런 거 막 머릿결이 좋다 그런 거 말고 진짜 이 공부머리 좋으신 분 있고 그다음에 이거 그냥 센스가 있다. maybe you're like really good with directions. What kind of smart are you? 또 내 자식에게 물려주고 싶은 머리가 있다. 그리고 자식, maybe you don't have kids. Maybe you want to pass it down to a younger someone, a younger sibling, a younger like a colleague at your workplace. So tell me all about that. You can send in your messages to BFM's live stream live chat. There's a lively chat room, I promise you, on YouTube. So you go to YouTube, search for BFM or 부산 영어 방송, and you subscribe, you have to log in before you can chat away with our other waivers. And like I said, it is very lively. It's lots of fun, and you can get to know our other waivers as well. Also, on your phone, pound 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. But you can also send in your messages for free through our Kakao Talk channel as well. Same thing. Search for BEFM or Busan Yongo 방송 to send in your messages. You can listen to us in so many different ways these days. 90.5, 103.3 FM on the radio dial. Also, like I just said, on the YouTube platform, we are streaming live as we speak. So the good thing is you can listen to us and or watch us at the same time. You can do so in real time or do so later on at your leisure. We have the Patbang app as well. And until the 25th, which is tomorrow, you can participate in our listener survey. It's all about you, the listeners. We want your feedback, your constructive criticism, and yes, for you to choose us as your favorite show. That's right, Morning Wave in Busan. So make sure you participate in that. It does take a few minutes, but it is so helpful in making all of our programming better. Looking ahead to our lineup today. So we have Andrew with Sports Insider, and for the health, we have Annabella. Is she coming in today? Yes, she is. And then with special interview today. This is so creepy. It gives me, what do you say, the heebie-jeebies? Oh, it just creeps me out. This whole active listening software on our phones. You know, have you noticed that you get these personalized ads for something that you've been interested in, but maybe you haven't quite searched for or typed in on your phone, and you wonder, how do they know? So we're going to find out about this. Are they actually listening in on our conversations? Let's find out with our legal expert in hour number 2, and I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:07, and these are today's headlines. Israel carries out deadliest strikes in Lebanon, killing 356, including 24 children. At least 356 people, including 24 children, have been killed and 1,246 wounded in Israeli attacks on Lebanon, its health ministry says. Yongsan rejects Yoon's solo meeting with PPP leader this week. The presidential office said yesterday that President Yoon Suk-yeol's possible one-on-one meeting with ruling People Power Party chief Han Dong-hoon needs a separate consultation. Parliamentary committee passes bill strengthening punishment for deep fake sex crimes against teens. Under the revisions, using sexually exploitative material to blackmail or coerce children and teens will be newly punishable by law and more heavily than under existing laws. South Korea's population to shrink over 30% by the year 2072. South Korea is projected to see its population drop significantly over the next 50 years, and its global population ranking expected to falter to 59th place. U.S. proposes ban on Chinese software in connected vehicles from 2027 model year. The proposal comes amid concerns that those cars with cameras, sensors, software, and other components manufactured in China could be used to glean sensitive data about drivers and passengers, as well as U.S. infrastructure. And these are today's headlines. All right, it's time to check in with Haley. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, so we know you're smart, but what kind of particulars smart are you? Like book smart, street
was
smart?
told that I'm book smart and not street smart. That was in high school, though.
Okay.
My friends were very concerned. Like, what are you going to do after you graduate?
Really?
And we throw you on, the world throws you out onto the streets. So I'm like,
Literally?
well, hopefully, not literally. You guys, hopefully I'll have a job. But yeah, I would like to think I've gained some street smarts. I'm not completely, I mean, there are times where I'm just like,
So let's explain to our listeners, our waivers, what exactly is street smart? What do we mean? We don't mean like directions.
that I'm horrible at. That I
Yeah,
don't have.
that's a different
But,
story.
like street smarts, I think in Korean the closest thing is like 세상 물정에 밝은. So like you know how the world works.
Yes.
Like you know how to metaphorically navigate. Yeah. Things like if they throw you out, if you get deserted on a deserted island or a desert, let's say.
Okay.
You're gonna survive. Like
gonna survive.
you're gonna sell water to the camels and I don't know, and survive. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you're more of a book smart kind of
I'm more
person.
of a book smart person, and maybe I'll use my skills to get a job. But I think
Yes.
I have 일머리.
Oh.
I think so. I think I'm good at like doing work, good at doing my job,
Yes.
and I will always like find the most effective way of doing something.
I agree though.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's
can
something I would
second
like
that.
to pass down to. I think 일머리 is definitely, for me, that's like the most important. But maybe because I no longer need my book smarts. But that's something I would like to pass on to my descendants, sister, siblings, someone who shares my
Whomever.
my
Yes,
mentees. Sure.
But I think the whole idea of like book smarts, parlaying that over to like work, that's also important.
So
'Cause
important.
In theory, you could be really brilliant, but if it doesn't play out in work,
And
you
I
could
think
be
it's
bad at
about
work.
like consideration and being self-aware, right? Yeah.
All right, we're going to jump into our first update. We're going to begin with a state of emergency doctors here in Busan.
Right. So of the 16 district/county in Busan, there are five municipal governments that have 0 emergency medicine specialist doctors.
Yes.
And this is according to the National Health Insurance Assessment Committee data released by Reform Korea Party's Kim Seon-min. And this is on the state of specialists by department. So there are 0 emergency medicine specialists in Chunggu, Yeongdo, Saha, Kumjong, and Gangseogu districts. And nationwide, there are 66 such municipal governments without these doctors, and the vast majority of them are in non-capital areas.
Yes.
So this means that patients in these particular districts, they have a higher chance of being kind of bounced around to different hospitals if they do seek emergency medical attention. So the lawmaker who released these figures said that the regional imbalance here shows why people are demanding this expansion in medical school quota. But at the same time, the lawmakers and policymakers, they have to join their heads in figuring out, once they get the increased medical staff in the future, how to best distribute them across the country.
Yes, but so not good. The fact that we have so many districts that have 0. We're going to move on to this issue, the long overdue approval for one of the bridges that would span Nakdong River.
Oh, right. So before we do
Yes.
that real quick, I do want to throw this in because
Okay.
Yeongdo-gu is one of the districts I mentioned with 0 medical specialists on emergency medicine. And there was a young woman in her 30s in Yeongdo-gu who died over the Chuseok weekend because she was bounced around to 92 different hospitals. 92 different hospitals turned her down.
There are that many hospitals?
Not only in Busan, but also just in the greater like Ulsan and Gyeongnam area.
gosh.
So this woman suffered a seizure and it seems to be epilepsy, and she called 119.
Yes.
She was unconscious when the first responders found her. They rolled calls to first handful of different hospitals. They said they didn't have a neurologist on call who could take care of her, take her in. She suffered, her heart stopped, basically. She was taken to a smaller hospital, which also said we don't have the capacity to treat her.
92.
Ultimately, they called 92 hospitals, none of which could take her, and she suffered in that period 3 different heart attacks and died the morning after. And this all happened on Chuseok and the day after Chuseok. So this goes to show, why we are calling for this medical reform, how we go about it. I mean, that's up to the policymakers and lawmakers. But I know the government said that the overall situation was fairly stable. But if you do fall in the handful of individuals to whom this happened, then the overall situation doesn't mean much.
Right.
Anyways, yeah.
Well, and if you happen to be a family member
Right.
of that one or few people that it affects, terrible. All right, so we're going to go back to that bridge that would span Nakdong River.
Right. So Eumgung Bridge finally got the environmental approval from the Nakdong River Environment Center. And this is on year 3 after
Yes.
that request was submitted.
Okay.
So the Environment Center passed a report under the caveat that the construction would pull back between the key months of November through March. And why this is important is that's when migrating birds come to that area. Also, this is a major step, and it means that the bridge now only has to pass the Korea Heritage Service approval.
Yes.
So after that, it'll be fairly smooth sailing, or at least hopefully, as far as these approval and permits are concerned.
Right.
And construction may break ground in March of next year. And Mayor Park Hyung-jun said that Eumgung Bridge is a key piece of infrastructure that will connect Western Busan to the rest of the city, and also for Busan City to become a global hub city. So he pledged to do everything to make sure that construction can begin soon.
Yes, indeed. All right, moving on. Microsoft has opened up a new data center right here in Busan.
Right. So the opening ceremony took place in Gangseogu yesterday, attended by Mayor Park Hyung-jun, the Microsoft Asia Pacific President Alvin Hwang, and lawmaker Kim Do-up of the area.
Yes.
So Microsoft and Busan City also agreed to work together for a third data center for AI cloud services, and the two are establishing this third center trying to establish it in the Busan Chine Free Economic Zone. Of course, this will not only bring jobs, especially in the IT sector, but also they will work to create internship programs and training programs for young local talents.
Yes, yes. So this is definitely good for our city. Let's move on and talk about the fact that official beach season, we've talked about the fact that it is not quite in line with kind of the changing climate that we have these days. So actually, we might see updates to this.
We might. So there have been many calls for the official beach season, June/July through the end of August, to be extended because, well, September was summer.
Yes,
until
yes.
at least a couple days ago.
Right,
So
literally.
upon this, Haeundae District is discussing ways to extend beach season to the
Yes.
end of September, and that would affect both Haeundae and Songjeong beaches. And they already opened about a month earlier than
Right.
the rest of the city. And the thing is, it's not just about fun and leisure, it's a safety issue because official beach season equals budget equals lifeguards on
Right,
duty.
right.
So over the Chuseok weekend, we had, unfortunately, 2 foreign nationals who went swimming in the waters of Haeundae
Sure.
and drowned. So Chief of the District, Kim Song-soo, said that it'll respond to the weather in a flexible way and come up with a budget to extend beach season through September. So hopefully that'll be in effect next year.
Yes, indeed. And, speaking of marine leisure, there's this fun Cinema on the Waters event going on. So tell us about
A
it.
couple kayak and water events. So the LED nighttime kayak ride, that'll take place this weekend, Friday 27th and the 28th, Saturday, at Northport with LED kayaks from 6:30 for about an hour. And then later on in October 5th through the 7th, the Gwangalli Milak Waterfront Park will be the C-NEMA, not cinema, but the C-NEMA
Right.
program where you will be able to go to the now dry, alcohol-free Milak Waterfront Park and watch movies by the water.
So nice. Whether it's with family, kind of romantic too.
Yeah.
You go with on a date. Well, thank you for the updates, Haley. We'll check in with you in just a little bit. Back to you, the listeners, the wavers out there. We're talking about the different kind of smarts out there, whether you are book smart, street smart, or maybe you're work smart. What kind of smart are you? Yes. Tell me all about it. You can brag today. Tell me what kind of smart person you are. And here's your traffic and weather. It It's now 7:19. Here's your traffic report. It is looking slow on Luno Samsung-daedo from Myeongji Underpass to Shino Bridge. Also congested on Dongso Overpass from Bomnukgo Ramp to the old Kaegum Tollgate. And it looks congested on Bonnyeongno from Suyeong Tunnel to Wondong Ramp. As for the weather, it's currently 20 degrees under. We have some clouds in the sky right now. Daytime highs will go up to 27 degrees with a chance of rain in the afternoon. Looking at the weather across the nation, light rain is forecast sporadically across the southern coast. There is a big temperature difference across the nation between the low and the high, so you might want to dress in layers and please take care of your health. This was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for our News Digest segment. And with Haley, we're going to check in with our first bit of news regarding North Korea. Once again, trash balloons. And these launches have almost become this kind of regular occurrence at this point. We're kind of getting used to them. Not necessarily a good thing. And the government has issued a stern warning.
They have. So the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the JCS, yesterday said that North Korea launched some 120 additional trash balloons from Sunday night through yesterday morning.
Yes.
And even a couple of the balloons fell on the tarmac at the Incheon International Airport, which meant flights had to be suspended briefly. And by the way, if you are keeping count, this is the 22nd occasion for the year. The first one being sent on May 28th. And the Joint Chiefs said that North Korea has collectively flown some 5,500 balloons thus far. And actually, even yesterday, one of the balloons were spotted over the Joint Chiefs of Staff headquarters in Yongsan. So definitely could be a security breach. And the Joint Chiefs issued a statement calling these launches an internationally embarrassing behavior, a low act that seeks to cause anxiety and internal conflict within South Korea. They also added that if it deems that North Korea crosses a line or causes grave harm to the people of South Korea, the military will take stern actions.
But then there are even more serious concerns I hear under discussion.
Right. So although these trash balloons, they are a kind of a nuisance, but they have been proven, at least so far, not dangerous.
Right.
But now we're talking about a possible nuclear test, which would be North Korea's 7th nuclear test.
Yes.
With the Yongsan Presidential Office saying yesterday that there is a significant possibility that the North may conduct one in the near future.
Sure.
So according to the National Security Advisor Shin Won-sik, North Korea is in need of several testings to carry out its nuclear goals, and the country is apparently always at a state of readiness to go as soon as its leader Kim Jong-un gives the green light. And then, so as to when this might happen, this is more of a strategic decision on when it may make the biggest splash in the international community, so to speak. And the South Korean authorities see the upcoming U.S. presidential election as being a possible time for one of them.
Yes. So that's what's going on with the trash balloons. And now we're going to move on to a completely different issue, the girl statues of peace. And we have seen, these unfortunate cases of vandalism against these symbolic statues. And the government has launched a survey to kind of get the ball rolling on maybe how to better protect them.
Right. So the Peace Girl statues, or 평화의 소녀상, first on why we need these protection measures.
Yes.
Because 7 out of 10 statues, they don't have protection measures written into the law for them. So according to the Gender Equality and Family Ministry data, there are 152 statues in the country. 110 of them have no ordinances that stipulate, that basically name an entity, which organization or a government is in charge of their management. So there were other cases where the statues in the same city or provinces, they had different entities named on who's in charge of them, or even had the entities kind of declare bankruptcy or be disbanded after the statues were constructed. So there's basically no one in charge is the point.
Right.
So what this means that even if there are cases of vandalism, like recently there was a case in front of the Gyeongnam Education Office where somebody had put up a sign that said disgrace in front of that girl statue or, quote, stop the comfort woman scam. There was no way to punish the person who did this.
So you said that, I just mentioned that the government has launched this survey into these statues.
But apparently it's also heading into, or it has been off to a rocky start. So the Gender Equality and Family Ministry, they collected data on the installation of these statues last month.
Okay.
But with this survey, it was basically the ministry actually sending official notices to governments, so local governments, to basically give us numbers on how many statues you have within your jurisdiction. So they just basically pulled the paperwork together and no one was actually sent out to check the numbers or compare the numbers to actually how many statues stand. So apparently in that process, there were lapses. So of governments not counting existing statues or not reflecting any relocations that have happened. So civic groups that install these statues say that they themselves were never contacted by the government. So an attorney who represents one of the groups said that this is kind of a matter of willingness on the part of the ministry and the government. In fact, actually, there's no separate government budget for the statues. And regarding the potential lapses, the family ministry explains that, quote, this is work done by humans, so
Yes.
it's hard to say that it is always 100% right.
Well, nonetheless, this is such, once again, these statues are so symbolic and important to continue to,
Educate, raise awareness.
It's a part of Korean history. So, all right, let's move on. Teen gambling. We've talked about this, and it continues to be a serious issue, right?
It really is getting more and more common. So
Right.
according to the Korea Problem Gambling Agency's data, about 40% of students surveyed have said that they have experienced gambling.
Really?
So the National Police Agency, they have created a public awareness campaign, and there's a virtual character, a student named Park Do-young, who falls into the traps of gambling. And it's not only to warn students, but also to raise awareness for the parents, because parents and older siblings, they kind of have a tendency to think, well, my kid wouldn't do that, but your kid might. So there's a 40%
chance.
right?
Yes.
And then on top of that, I actually really think this is brilliant. The police agency has teamed up with the money transaction app Toss, and that is commonly used by young people. And it'll actually pop up an alert when the user tries to send money to an account that's been suspected of being used for gambling.
Oh.
And also, if it has approval, it'll alert a family member who's linked to that account as well. So I think, it'll be a great time for families to kind of have a conversation
Yes.
and with, the kids' permission and with, approval, link family members and, have the safeguards up.
Especially if that said child or teenager is a minor. Yes,
Exactly,
absolutely.
yes.
Yes. And for a final story, let's look at the U.S. presidential race. So we have about 40 days left until the big vote. It seems like there won't be a second debate.
At least if you are following former President Donald Trump, who has basically refused to engage in debate number 2.
Okay.
So instead, the campaigns are apparently in talks for their respective 60 minutes interviews.
Yes.
And that would air back to back. So this is a show that's aired on CBS, apparently America's top-rated news show.
Right.
With about an average of 11 million people viewership. By the way, in 2020, a 60 minutes episode featuring interviews with then candidates Donald Trump and Joe Biden, they drew 17.4 million viewers. That was
Yes.
one of their biggest viewership. So there's a bit of a difference in attitude, though. The Harris campaign is apparently in active negotiations with CBS. The Trump campaign apparently a bit more lukewarm about it.
Well, at the same time, though, Trump hinted at this maybe his last presidential campaign one way or another, whether he wins
I
or
mean,
not.
if he wins, then constitutionally,
He can't
that's
run again.
it. But in an interview with the Sinclair Media Group, he was asked if he could foresee another run in the event that he does lose. So campaign number 3, or how many are we at? And he said, quote, "No, I don't. I think that'll be it." unquote. But he also said, hopefully we're going to be very successful. But it is notable because this is the second time in 4 days that he has mentioned a chance of defeat. So during an event, although they were two different attitudes, let's just say, at an event held by the Israeli-American Council on Thursday local time, he brought up losing, but then said if he loses, it would at least be partly because of Jewish voters. Yeah, he went there. So this is interesting. But going back, let's go to the numbers because this acknowledgement of a possible loss, well, let's look at the polls because a CBS poll from Sunday shows that Harris leads Trump 52% to 48% nationally. And then in key battleground states, Harris had a narrower lead, 51 to 49. But it is a slight improvement. So we'll see.
Yes. Well, once again, coming up in about 40 days or so, this is important because it's not just Americans or American citizens that we're talking about. This does affect the whole world.
The U.S. is South Korea's biggest ally.
Yes. So we'll continue to follow this. We'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you soon.
All right. We're going to get to our first song break. Here it is. This is Love is a Wonderful Thing by Michael Bolton.
Spread their wings
Welcome back, everybody. It is time to get back to our top story. It's all about the rain damage, not just from this past weekend, but in areas that experience damage year after year. Every time it rains, this giant sinkhole in Sasang district. Have you seen the footage or the photos? I mean, it really shocked many people, me included. And it is certainly the first time that a sinkhole of that extent has opened up, at least in this area. But that general area, really not a stranger to these kind of weak ground or so-called sinkhole episodes. And this sinkhole happened around the site of the Sasang-Hadan subway line construction. This is the area around which several sinkholes have been opening up in the past couple months alone, although once again, never to this scale where two massive trucks literally kind of fell into the sinkhole. So this area has been undergoing subway construction for a decade, 10 years. Sasan District explained that the previous sinkholes have been caused by leaks in the underground water pipes, but residents raised questions as to how much the construction played a role. Busan City said that it is going to look into this incident with all options open, meaning they're going to look into all the avenues. Hopefully, we'll get some real answers and responses to the many questions that residents have. All right, so now we are ready for our text topic. We're looking into the different kinds of smarts. So when we talk about smarts, we're talking about 땡땡 like 머리. Okay, so book smart, street smart, being smart at your job. What kind of smart are you? All right, so 일머리, 공부머리, 세상 물정에 밝은, 그건 영어로 street smart이라고 부르는데요. 네, what about 잔머리? 잔머리 can I say it? 굴리세요? That's not 욕은 아니잖아요. 잔머리 잘 쓰시나요? So, what kind of 머리 do you have? That's so Konglish, but anyhow. So, what kind of smart are you is what we're looking for. So I was looking at some of your responses, and we have a person that popped up on our board, 난데 없이 waiver, who says that they are apparently very good at, they're very quick with their hands. 저는 손이 빠릅니다. 요리할 때도 엑셀 할 때도 새로 옮긴 회사에 손빠르길 들켜서 큰일이에요. 업무가 많아지거든요. So they're apparently really, everything they do with their hands are really quick, whether it's cooking or even working on their Excel, the program, right? So they just moved to a new company, and they said they have figured them out, like the company, their coworkers, that they're really quick with their hands, are good at their job basically. And you know what that means. They're going to throw more work at this person. So anyhow, welcome to the program, because they mentioned how they listen every day, but they don't get to text in often. But yes, that is definitely a different kind of smart, meaning you're quick with your hands, but it's all connected to their brain. So thanks for sharing that message. All right, for now, though, I'll be back with Kat's Pick. For today's Kat's Pick, I wanted to do something a little positive today, because I know that in hour number 2, maybe not so happy-go-lucky kind of stories. Well, a group of Virginia high school students teamed up to surprise their high school custodian with something amazing, a really nice gift. So here is a clip from CBS News.
It hit him out of the blue. Francis Aproku, custodian at James Madison High School in Vienna, Virginia, says he was walking through a parking lot earlier this month when he saw something that literally brought him to his knees.
My leg started shaking. I can't stand. I was panicking, and I have to get myself on the floor, and I was crying.
You were crying?
Yeah.
Hey guys, get him up. He's okay.
Laid out, flat on the pavement, crying. Tears of joy. The trail of these happy tears starts here. with a group of sophomore football players. The boys used to chat with Francis outside their weight room.
These are my people.
Eventually, those conversations led to
May
friendships
God bless you guys all.
with students like Bennett Hishman, Nick Tiberthopoulos, and Logan Georgeless.
He's always just such a nice person.
If we were to have a bad day, he'd be the first guy. I'd be like, hey, are you okay, you know? And we're like, I mean, let's do something nice for him. No one else is going to.
And that's when they asked Francis, if you could have one splurge, what would you buy?
I said, what? Why do you want to know?
Did you answer their question?
Yeah.
What'd you tell them?
I told them that my heart desire is a Jeep Wrangler.
A Jeep Wrangler.
Yes, that's why I'm trying to work hard.
Francis sends money to his relatives in Ghana. He's squeezed for cash. Getting that car was nothing but a pipe dream.
So the boys started a fundraising campaign. All on their own, they did this. And within just 4 months, they'd raised $22,000. Enough for a nice 2015 Jeep Wrangler.
Francis was so surprised to see those wheels, he started rolling.
That's your car, man. That's your car. That's your car.
It got a little to the point where it was like, is he okay? Making sure he's okay, and we helped him up.
And then we finally got him in the car, and he's just in disbelief.
It was incredible.
I will never, ever forget today.
Not because of the car, he says, but because of the kids.
Once again, I wanted to share a happy story this morning. Oftentimes we're inundated with not such happy stories because we are a news-based program. And, a lot of the comments that I saw at the bottom of the story posted were like, there's still hope that there are good kids out there and that parents are doing something right, raising good kids. And this was Cat's Pick for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It is now time for Sports Insider. We have Andrew in the house. Good morning.
You sounded like when you're doing the good morning, it sounded like, what was his name? Roddy from Price is Right. Come on down.
Really? You're comparing
No,
me
I
to
meant like
him?
how you held on to the notes.
Because I wanted to, brighten up your morning.
Yeah, no, definitely.
How are you?
Fantastic.
Yay.
Absolutely
So
fantastic.
we're
Loving this
talking-
weather.
Oh my gosh. I actually had to tell the roommate, can you close the windows? It's too chilly. I was so happy yesterday.
I just had to, let Haley know that she's not allowed to talk about being cold. But I used it. I had a choice set of words that I can't say on air. Anyway, moving on.
Hey,
Yes.
what kind of smart are you? Are you smart at all in any which way?
I am the superlative, the smartest.
The smartest? Well, like book smart, street smart?
I would like to say I'm a good mix of both. Just because I feel that kids that grew up in my or our generation, the ones that were like locked out of their house in a day from their parents that weren't allowed to come back in, we definitely learned a lot of different things than, say, children today, whether good or bad. But I feel that I have more of an awareness of what's going on. But with that said, I feel like when I go to new cities and things like that, maybe I have a trust issue. So I'm always kind of not on guard, but I like to sit in certain places. I like to, so I can see what's going on.
Oh, you're one of those people.
Yeah. So like my back not to the door kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe a bit of street smarts, but.
But do you, I don't know, wherever I am,
Yes.
I always check to see where the exit is.
Yeah. Okay.
I do that. You don't do that?
Well, no, definitely.
I always do. It's not just in a movie theater. Like wherever I am, it's just like second nature because it was kind of ingrained in me.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like probably because I lived in an earthquake prone
Oh, well, there you go. Exactly.
state. But it's kind of like brainwashed into us. Like wherever I am, whether it's a restaurant, it's just like second nature. I always check to see where I am, where the exits are.
Sure.
How I can make a quick escape and no one's coming after me. But I'm not paranoid, but it's just kind of second nature. And what you said about the whole, like, we come from that certain generation.
Yeah,
of-
definitely.
Yeah, I get
Well,
it.
there might be this kind of looking for the exit might be it kind of goes along with our first story.
Yes.
Because there's 2 individuals today that might be looking, or 3 individuals who might be looking for a quick exit after a committee meeting today. Committee meeting or parliamentary committee hearing. So we're going to get started with the event that takes place in just a couple of hours.
Yes.
When KFA president Chung Hong-gyu and men's national team head coach Hong Myung-bo will both testify before a parliamentary committee. Now, lawmakers are expected to grill them about the controversial appointment of Hong Myung-bo back in July.
I thought you said cafe.
FA. Sorry, yeah, the Korean Football
cafe?
Association.
I was like, what? Wait.
Yeah, they're going to be at a cafe
Oh,
just down
okay.
here in Gangnam. I'm not really sure.
Football. I was like, they're at a cafe? Okay.
Chung and Hong will be among
Yes.
the witnesses for the Culture, Sport, and Tourism Committee summoned at the National Assembly for its questioning session, which is scheduled to begin at 10 a.m. today.
Ah, yes. So this is really important. This is because, Hong's appointment didn't allegedly go through like the proper vetting channels, as we say, right?
Yeah, you kind of, your hesitation in saying that is kind of everyone's understanding of what's going on, because a lot of people don't understand what's going on.
And I was trying to be nice.
Yeah, exactly.
And cover my bases and my butt.
So the KFA began its coaching search in February after, they canned Jurgen Klinsmann in light of, the semifinal loss to the Asian Football Confederation Cup.
Right.
Now, over the next 5 months or so, there was rumors of it was going to be Jesse Marsh, it was going to be this guy, it was that guy.
There were some big names in there, though.
Some big names, but all foreign coaches. These are all foreign coaches that
and
we're
then
looking at.
after the fact, I hear like a couple of them, they were really wanted the job.
Yeah, so along the way, even Hong said that he didn't want it. He's like, I don't want this job, because he was
why'd
asked
they
about
give
it.
it to him?
Yeah, this is the thing. So he was, so there's immediate backlash after, a late chat, we'll say in June, and then he kind of changed his mind. So the KFA faced this backlash after skipping proper vetting process to hire Hong, who wasn't asked to make a presentation on his tactical philosophy or sit through lengthy interviews like the foreign-born candidates had to do.
Yes.
Now, this is what's going on, and also that he ended up getting paid more than what there was Renard, the French coach, who he coached a bunch of the African teams in the World Cups. He was kind of a handsome looking guy, long hair, white shirt. He essentially agreed to take the job. And then they said, no, we're going with Hong, and paid him more money. And he didn't have to go through any of what everyone else had to go through.
We just don't get it.
Yeah. So anyway.
No one gets it.
So they might be looking for that exit. Hopefully they look and say, hey, where are the exits when they get in that room?
Yeah, be
today.
like me. Be like Kat. All right. So it looks like it could get heated.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll wait to see what, happens at the hearing.
Yeah, sure.
Let's be honest though. Is something really going to happen? I don't know. We'll see.
It might end up coming back to something that happens in the future, whether it's with funding and more laws put in place, because they are using the funds from the
I don't
whole.
know.
Yeah.
Will it be a slap on the wrist?
Yes.
Maybe.
Most likely.
Okay. Let's move on. What are we talking about?
Yeah, so moving on to Caitlin Clark has continued to reap the rewards from her remarkable debut season in the WNBA.
Yes.
Most recently being unanimously chosen as the Associated Press's Rookie of the Year. So this isn't, I do have to say, this isn't the WNBA's Rookie of the Year. This is AP's Rookie of the Year.
Right, the
But
press.
a lot of people think that this will have, not influence, because I think she'll probably win anyway.
Right.
But kind of it's like, all right, she won it here, she's going to win it in the league as well.
It's probably a precursor.
Yeah, exactly. And she was on the all rookie team, then the all and WNBA team. So she kind of got everything right. Now, Las Vegas Aces star Aja Wilson, named unanimous MVP for the league. And I don't think there's any doubt in that. Obviously Clark had this season that a lot of people are going to remember, but people have got to remember there are other players in the league, all right, who had some pretty amazing seasons as well.
Yes.
So, she is in her team in the Fever. They're into the playoffs. They did lose their first game and not lost it. They got trounced by 40 points. So I believe their next game is either this morning our time or tomorrow morning our time. And we'll see if they can come back from that.
Yes. So we'll see what happens.
Exactly.
I mean, all right. Now, what are we going to move on to some soccer news?
Now you want to talk about soccer.
I mean,
because Spurs win?
No. But I mean, Liverpool's doing great. Aren't they in second place?
This is the first time that Kat's ever brought up Liverpool, just to dodge my, hey, this is why you want to talk about this?
Yeah, they were temporarily on top.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
right.
Okay. Yeah, but Spurs, they did win. Ange Postecoglou acknowledged Tottenham should have beaten Brentford by a lot more, and I agree. I watched this match, and I was kind of like, is this going to be a Spursy result?
Why is there an adjective, Spursy?
When you have a trophy cabinet that is as empty. as that. So,
yes.
But and especially after the first minute when they were down by a goal, when
at
Mbamo,
home.
yeah, exactly, at home, and Mbamo scored, an early goal at 23 seconds, which was pretty unbelievable. But Spurs did come back from it with Dominic Solanke finally getting on the score sheet for Tottenham, and then Brendan Johnson, and then late in the game, James Maddison kind of put things away in the 85th minute and sealed the deal. And hopefully this does, carry on into the next few weekends.
Leslie texted in, Spurs won 2 in a row, but one was not a Premier League game. So
yeah, well,
but Leslie, you're correct. They did win 2 in a row.
Sure.
And I was screaming at my phone as I was watching, and the roommate was like, "Oh, not again!" and he exited. It was like, I'm gonna watch something else, right? All right. Let's move on to our next story, which is
it was pretty much the game of the weekend. It was the highly touted match between
it was insane.
Manchester City and Arsenal. And we're going to get to a quick clip here, kind of a roundup of what happened in the game. Let's take a listen.
It's brilliant from Savinho, and it's through to Haaland, and City in front already. And it's his 100th goal as well in 104 appearances. Well, that free kick's been allowed to be taken. Here's Martinelli. Walker was out of position, and here's Calafiori. It's a brilliant finish. So good on set pieces. They've done it again. It's Gabriel again. He got the winner against Spurs. How pivotal might that goal be? Trossard's foul on Bernardo Silva. Referee's not happy.
If only the hot mics.
Yeah, exactly. So just at the end of the clip here,
Right.
there was, they're going to talk about the 98th minute equalizer from John Stones to make it 2-2. Now, this game, I don't usually stay up late to watch other teams other than Liverpool, especially if it's after midnight or whatnot.
Right.
But this game, I just thought, especially after last weekend, the Arsenal-Spurs game, it was 1-0. They got that header to win. And then this, I thought, okay, this can make a big difference for the rest of the season. And it was unbelievable. In the first half, it had so much going for it. Like you heard, Haaland's early goal, I think it was the 9th minute. And then there were 2 goals from Arsenal that, one of them, it was debatable because it was played on real quick.
Right.
And then the referee, I'm sure he might want to have that one back. And then the second goal by Gabriel, just a classic Arsenal set piece header. Unbelievable. And then there was the second yellow for Trossard.
Which
and then
translated into a red.
Yeah. And then it led to Arsenal in the second half having everybody behind the ball, and Manchester City couldn't break them down until they did off a deflection when then John Stones.
98th minute?
98th minute.
Oh my gosh.
But a lot of people said
Insane.
Arsenal were time wasting. But the thing is, you can't really time waste in the new Premier League.
Right.
They just added on.
They did. And that's what happened.
And that's what happened. I don't really think they were time wasting, to
And
be
you know
honest,
what? But you know what? They can't whine about it later, saying like, "Oh, the referee kept on adding time." Well,
Yeah, if you're doing stuff, they're doing it. It's not the ref.
You can't
it's
have
the
it
guys
both
in the
ways.
sideline are telling them what to do, right?
Exactly. You can't have it both ways.
And then, as you said, Haaland grabbing the ball
And bouncing
it off of Gabriel's head.
That was hilarious.
That's what kicked it all off at the end. And a lot of people are really excited to see not him do that with the ball.
No.
But the passion that those players have
Oh,
because
yeah.
it is becoming a proper rivalry.
It is,
And
it
it's
is.
what the league needs. And it needs more eyes on the Premier League, which is probably the most watched in the world. But I don't know. I think it's good. Good for the league.
It was exciting.
Yes, definitely.
Well, we're going to call that a wrap for all the sports news, and we'll check in with you next week. Thank you, Andrew.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
All right, we're going to call it a wrap for hour number 1 as well. This is Harlem Desire by London Boys. I'll be back at 8.
BEFM 부산 영어방송.
다운이 실내 건조 세탁세제. 습한 실내 건조 시 빽빽히 널린 빨래는 냄새를 만들죠. 다운이 실내 건조 세탁세제. 보이지 않는 얼룩과 냄새를 싹. 세탁세제도 역시 다운이.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지. 부산의 축제는 우리의 열정을 가득 담고 있습니다. 바쁜 일상은 잠시 뒤로하고 특별한 시간을 선물 받는 바로 이곳 부산에서 우리의 삶은 축제가 됩니다. 축제로 하나 되는 부산, 여러분은 어떤 축제를 기다리시나요? 이 캠페인은 대선공익재단과 BFM 부산 영어방송이 함께합니다.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
부산 글로벌 글로벌 도시재단 대표이사 전용호입니다. 부산은 대한민국의 굳건한 성장 동력으로서 물류, 금융, 영상, 관광, 문화, 디지털 첨단 산업의 중심지인 글로벌 허브 도시로 나아가고 있습니다. 이를 위해 부산 글로벌 도시재단은 부산을 대표하는 도시 외교의 플랫폼을 지향합니다. 세계 평화도시 부산의 브랜드를 강화하는 부산 UN 위크와 부산 글로벌 도시 포럼, 유라시아 도시 외교단, 개발협력 포럼, 그리고 세계 시민축제는 부산의 소프트 파워의 상징으로 자리매김하고 있습니다. 부산 영어방송도 시민과 함께 영어하기 편한 도시, 세계와 경쟁하며 더불어 살아가는 부산을 만들어가겠습니다. 시민이 행복한 글로벌 허브 도시 부산, 부산 글로벌 도시재단이 함께합니다.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded. What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is now 8 o'clock. This is news highlights. Israel carries out deadliest strikes in Lebanon, killing 356, including 24 children. At least 356 people, including 24 children, have been killed and 1,246 wounded in Israeli attacks on Lebanon, its health ministry said. Israel says it is broadening its strikes against Hezbollah as citizens in southern Lebanon have received phone messages warning them to leave places used by the Iran-backed group. Lebanon's prime minister says Israel's actions amount to a war of extermination, while Israel's defense minister says strikes will continue until the Israeli residents return to their homes. This marks the deadliest days of the Israel-Hezbollah conflict since 2006, as fears of an all-out regional conflict grow. Yongsan rejects Yoon's solo meeting with PPP leader this week. The presidential office said yesterday that President Yoon Suk-yeol's possible one-on-one meeting with ruling People Power Party or PPP chief Han Dong-hoon needs a separate consultation. Han requested the sit-down on the occasion of Yoon's dinner meeting with the PPP leadership scheduled for today to discuss the government's medical reform plan. The presidential office explained that the dinner tonight is to encourage the new party leadership. Han told reporters that if the private meeting does not happen this time, the two should meet in the near future. Parliamentary committee passes bill strengthening punishment for deepfake sex crimes against teens. The Parliamentary Gender Equality and Family Committee yesterday passed revisions to the Act on the Protection of Children Against Crimes and the Sexual Violence Prevention Act amid public alarm over a surge in digital sex crimes. Under the revisions, using sexually exploitative material to blackmail or coerce children and teens will be newly punishable by law and more heavily than under existing laws. The revision raises the sentences for blackmail to 3 or more years and coercion to 5 or more years in the event the crimes are carried out against children and teenagers. South Korea's population to shrink over 30% by 2072. South Korea is projected to see its population drop significantly over the next 50 years, and its global population ranking expected to falter to 59th place. The country's population is projected to come to 36 million in 2072, down 30.8% from this year's 52 million. That's according to data by Statistics Korea. According to the forecast, South Korea's population dependency ratio is projected to grow to 118.5 people in 2072 from this year's 42.5 people, which means much greater pressure on the productive population. U.S. proposes ban on Chinese software in connected vehicles from 2027 model year. The U.S. Department of Commerce on Monday local time proposed a ban on imports or sales of connected vehicles with certain software and hardware with a nexus to China or Russia, citing national security concerns. The proposal comes amid concerns that those cars with cameras, sensors, software, or other components manufactured in China could be used to glean sensitive data about drivers and passengers, as well as U.S. infrastructure. The rule is expected to lead South Korean automakers to readjust their supply chains if they have used prohibited software and components from China. And this was News Highlights. All right, everybody, it's now time for Wagger with Haley. She's in the studio again.
Hello, hello.
All right, so first we talked about this individual who posted hundreds of reviews from his experiences with prostitutes online, and they got paid. Apparently, these reviews are rampant from overseas trips.
So, warning to parents, if you are listening to this with your children, maybe turn the volume down for the next couple of minutes, or it's time to have to talk.
Yes.
Because the world is a gross place. There are over 1,500 reviews on an online travel site, on an online travel community.
Yes.
Detailing the various users' experiences of illicit/sexual services, mostly in Southeast Asia. This is unfortunately another dark side of the internet. Of course, the vast majority of the country were focusing on those deep fake pornography. And of course, the coercion of children and teenagers using such deepfakes is egregious and this should be stopped.
Yes.
However, we are also talking about the very real, very illegal sex trips to Southeast Asia. And these stories also have a weird facet of illegal filming to them as well. So this even included a post on one of the country's biggest online communities, DC Inside, where this user left a review of a prostitution site in Laos. It has been deleted, but the user said that they paid 14,000 won, and the girl said or told him that she was 19, but he didn't believe her. And that age part is also an issue as well. There were a lot of posts implying that the users had intercourse with minors.
Oh dear.
Another post saying that they saw women, likely, or they seem to be, age 12 to 19, in these rooms with bars, basically in cages, sleeping and living together. There were reviews that featured pictures and videos, and that's where we get to the illegal filming aspect of it. And by the way, these are common on sites like YouTube with no barriers for minors. So this is problematic on all accounts.
Yes.
And by the way, according to a Gender Equality and Family Ministry survey from 2 years ago, of those who said that they've paid for sexual services in the last year, 28% said that they have experienced doing so overseas. Here's the thing, though. You may think that you're safe because you're not in South Korea.
Right.
It's still illegal and you can be criminally prosecuted.
Oh, really?
That is the South Korean system.
Okay.
Well, we know, we have stated, experts have stated, if you use drugs overseas and you test positive in South Korea,
yes,
you're still breaking South Korean law. So you can be prosecuted. Same thing with illegal sexual services. By the way, only about 43% of the survey respondents were aware of this.
Yes.
I mean, the problem is, though, it is hard to prove. Unlike drug testing, which there is a physical evidence left in your system.
Right.
We can't really, there's no way to prove that, basically. And it's also hard to trace the financial records because I'm assuming people usually pay cash for this. So anyways, there is a bill at the National Assembly that would punish posting these reviews online, but it's been sitting at the Legislative and Judiciary Committee. So,
And I'm wondering, though, okay, logistically, legally, right? If some said person said, "Oh, I posted it, but it was a lie,"
here's the thing.
how would you
can't
even
prove
go about proving that?
Right. But also, why would you lie about things that we don't understand?
Too much time on your hands.
Yeah.
Next, we have covered stories about government servants being subject to unreasonable requests and demands, civil servants, right? But this one kind of reaches a whole new low.
Another not safe for children story. I swear this
cover
is the
their
last
ears.
one.
Yes.
A public official, a civil servant, received a lewd letter from a senior citizen asking her or someone to be his girlfriend plus sexual harassment. Yeah. So this was via a post on an online professionals community, Blind. The writer says that she works for a local community center, and this elderly man walked up to her window and gave her letters, a 4-page letter. And the most PG stuff that we can say on air was for asking her to call him and gave his very detailed schedule of when his house would be empty. The more inappropriate parts of the letters detailed acts. Sexual acts.
Oh, okay.
So the civil servant said that she was shocked and she kicked him out with the help of her coworker. And when her coworker asked him, "What do you want?" he responded, "I'm looking for a girlfriend." He apparently came back and asked if he could get a girlfriend. And this I think also is problematic and warrants looking into. She wanted to call the police, but at least according to the wording on her post,
right?
Those around her told her not to.
Why?
I'm like, exactly. I'm like, if those around her are her coworker / her superior official, then I think that warrants not a probe at least of, if civil servants are being harassed, call the police.
Why?
Don't discourage them from.
Or at least, if he's not mentally well, find somebody
Someone
that should be called to find out if he's not mentally
authority,
well.
Right. So maybe this is why that in the last 6 years there have been 249,000 illegal acts committed by the public against these public servants, and that's according to the Interior Ministry. The biggest issue was verbal harassment, followed by sexual harassment and even physical assault. So
the comments on our board, lots of ews.
Yeah, I mean, and got the major ick writing the stories.
Right. All right, so, don't bring the kids in. Not yet. But it's a different time. Right. Moving on, this is a case of an employee calling their boss by a name, and whether that's a fireable offense, I don't know.
We say things, you say things behind anyone's back.
Right.
But then, to what extent is it okay? And also, how should you go about firing an employee?
Behind their back? Oh, this is a...
Yeah, interesting, right? So this is what happened. Last year, a manager at a plastic manufacturing company told the other employees that he thought the company's president was a crazy man, but it may not have been a man. It may have been a more expletive word, a slightly stronger wording. And the president is really interested whenever the company gets a new female employee. Yeah. So the company, after finding out, said that was defamatory and fired him.
Got fired.
But under the law, here's the thing, and this is actually the legal aspect of the story. An employer, when you're firing someone, you must give written notice on paper. On the reason and the date of termination, but it was not written.
What would he have written? Because you said something bad about me behind my back.
You called me a crazy thing. Yeah. I don't know. Well, and that's what got the company, because he filed the former employee filed the case with the local labor commission, and the commission accepted the employee's objection, saying that this oral dismissal, it violated the Labor Standards Act. Well, the company actually took it to the court, saying that we're a small company, so we didn't know the regulations under the law. And by the way, given what he said about the company's president, the dismissal was justified. It was, it was okay. They thought it was okay to fire him.
Okay.
Well, the judge said no, saying that the dismissal was against the procedure, and the judge isn't even going to look at whether the words or actions were justifiable because you guys didn't give written notice. So lesson number 1, when you're firing someone, give written notice. Lesson number 2, watch what you say.
Well, yeah. Because you don't know if your employer will find out.
Right. Interesting.
Yes. Lastly, can the kids listen to this one?
They can. They should. They really should.
Turn the volume up. All right. Lastly, intelligence is linked to many things. Genetics, how you are raised, even to income levels, according to some studies. But can your personality play a role in grades? This is a great question.
Apparently, yes.
Really? Your personality?
I know.
Ooh.
So, do you know anyone, show of hands, virtual hands on YouTube as well, are you a perfectionist? I'm not. I'm a get it over with person.
Oh, really?
Like,
Just
I
get it done?
don't care. Like, I don't care. Just get it done. And then I'll often have to do it all over again. But I'm like, I don't care. Just get it done. Is it done? Great. Or how about this? Someone who has or / had testing anxiety.
Oh.
Yeah. So people do. So maybe the assumption is if you're a perfectionist, wouldn't you be a good student? Wouldn't you get higher grades because you are, perfect, right? But apparently that's not the case when it comes to tests.
Okay.
So this is according to a Seoul National University Hospital and Uijeongbu's Ulji Hospital's joint study on the correlation between a person's CSAT, so 수능 scores, and perfectionism. Which I'm like, I love that they're doing these studies. Fascinating. So the study showed that students in the mid to high scoring ranges, so not absolutely high, but mid to high, they tended to have higher perfectionist tendencies.
Oh, really?
Right. So that meant, and then also, unfortunately, students in the mid to high scoring ranges also had more testing anxiety.
Oh.
Yeah. So experts say that that's because perfectionism is likely brought on by pressure from the outside. Parents, teachers, extracurricular studies, competition causes kind of an obsession / compulsion, which can then ironically, unfortunately, affect your grades.
It's a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle because basically you panic, you get frustrated, you get dejected, and if you don't know an answer to a question, you cannot get over it. So it affects you throughout the entire exam.
Sure.
So students with the highest CSAT 수능 grades, they actually put less pressure on themselves to live up to other people's expectations. So for example, if they get stuck on question 3, they're like, whatever. And then they just will skip it and move on and not let that affect them in the other questions. So actually, Dr. Oh Eun-young, the very famous psychiatrist, said that those who we deem as procrastinators, so people who put off doing things, they do this not because they're lazy, but maybe because they are likely perfectionists.
Interesting.
So they have this mindset. They're basically putting pressure on themselves. If I cannot do this perfectly, I might as well not start. So they want like everything to be like settled perfectly before they even start because they don't want to be embarrassed. So this is an intentional act to lower their high anxiety levels. However, here's the thing. I mean, if you have a deadline coming up, if you have at work or, in school, then when pressure comes, when it comes to a breaking point, like you need to start like today because it's due tomorrow, then they start. So thus procrastination. So experts say that these people need that tension and that pressure, nervousness at the last minute to propel them into action. So experts say because we are so close to 수능, especially for the CSAT test takers, to not focus on how other people, your parents, your other students, teachers think of you, but look at what you've done, your own efforts and the work that you have put into in a positive
so tough.
I know. I'm gonna, right.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It is.
It is really.
Well, to all the 수능 takers, whether it's your first time or your umpteenth time taking it, I mean, really do the best that you can do and try to.
But here is remember that statistic. If you get over getting a question wrong quicker, you will actually likely score better.
Right.
Yeah.
And my tip is this. if you get stuck on a question, at least skip it temporarily.
Right.
And then come back to it if you have time.
Right.
Because you don't want to ruin all your other
It's a
exam
domino,
questions.
yeah.
Right. Well, thank you for all the issues. Very fun and interesting today, although the ill factor was kind of strong. We'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Bye-bye.
All right. It is now a time for your updated traffic and weather. It's time for your updated traffic and weather. There is a broken down trailer truck inside Baegang Tunnel that is going towards Mora. And so they have blocked entry to Kaya Overpass. You're going to have to take a detour around this area. There's also congestion on Jungwangdaedo from Chwacheon 3-way intersection to Gogwan entrance. Also slow from Hwangyang Tunnel to the Dongso Overpass. It's also backed up on Chungnyeoldaedo from Minam to Daesung intersection. As for the weather, it's currently 20 degrees Celsius under sunny skies. It's going to go up to 27 today with a chance of rain in the afternoon. You might want to have a small umbrella with you. Light rain is forecast sporadically across the southern coast, and there might be a big temperature gap between the low and high depending on where you are across the nation. So make sure to dress in layers and please do take care of your health. This was your traffic and weather. And this is A Little Bit More by Serial Hess. This is requested by Leslie.
I know sometimes I'm slow to tell you it's no one else's fault but mine. If you don't know by the way I hold you, my heart's been yours this whole time. Oh, I hope I show it, just in case you need to know. I fall in love with you a little bit more, little bit more. Every time I think I've lost my way, I fall in love with you a little bit more, little bit more than before. Even on the days I'm not so sure, I fall in love with you a little bit more. Thought I knew every little thing about you. There's always more of you to learn. You try your best to show your worst, baby, you can rest assured I'll always be here for you, always be here for you. Oh, I hope I show it, just in case you need to know. I fall in love with you a little bit more, little bit more. Every time I think I've lost my way, I fall in love with you a little bit more, little bit more than before. Even on the days I'm not so sure, I fall in love with you a little bit more. Explain it, and I don't know what to call it. All I know is I keep falling. I fall in love with you a little bit more, little bit more. Every time I think I've lost my way, I fall in love with you a little bit more, little bit more than before. Even on the days I'm not so sure, I fall in love with you a little bit more. Fall in love with you a little bit more. I fall in love with you a little bit more.
Welcome back, everybody. So today for our text topic, we've been looking at different types of smarts, whether you're book smart, street smart. What kind of smart are you? We're talking about 일머리, 공부머리. All the 머리's that we looked up. 인정머리, 식은머리, 공부머리, 일머리, 걱정머리. Lots of 머리s, even 잔머리. Which do you excel at is what we were asking. And so some of your responses real quick. It seems Leslie, she says she is common sense smart and she tries very hard to constantly reinforces to her daughter to think things through and not automatically think the worst scenario has happened or that an action is not irreversible. So, I would say that not are you just common sense smart, you're kind of really wise and you're passing that down to your daughter. That's really good of you. Benny says, smart at this, like he's street smart, so good at knowing K-pop tracks. So good of you as well, Benny. And in terms of other responses, they're all over the board. People how about this? Jin Lee, 일머리 있는 사람은 다 있을 듯 정신머리, 좋은 정신 물려주고 싶어요. 일조가 있든 좋은 정신 없으면 무용지물. So this person says, basically, lots of people are good at work, but having a good clear sound mind is very important, they say. That's what they want to pass down. You could have all this money, and if you don't have a clear sound mind, it's of no use. So thank you for those comments. For now, though, we're going to get to our special interview. Waivers, let me ask you this. Have you noticed personalized ads, 맞춤형 광고 for a product that, you were kind of interested in, although you never actually searched for it online? Well, recently, a major media company called Cox Media Group has been under scrutiny for allegedly using something called active listening, the software which may have collected voice data through smartphone microphones without user consent. Sparking a very heated debate. In South Korea, there was a similar case that happened in 2022, a couple years back, when Google and Meta, they were fined over 100 billion Korean won by the Personal Information Protected Commission for collecting behavioral information without proper user consent for targeted ads. So, I don't know. Let me ask you this. Do you think this is just advanced advertising, or does it cross the line into privacy invasion? So to delve deeper into the legal implications of all of this, we're going to be speaking with Professor Song Se-ryun, who is a professor of law at Kyunghee University. Let's see what he has to say. Hi, welcome back, Professor.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yes. This story, just looking at the implications of this, Cox Media, which is a very big company, and looking at this whole active listening software controversy, it really does raise concerns about the collection of voice data via smartphone microphones. And the thing is, I think many people, we have thought about it and we thought am I imagining this? But apparently it might be true.
Well, this is one of many things, many aspects of our movements, our preferences, and our interests that they are trying to find out in many different means. How many times do you go into a site and nonchalantly click off some consent with the small prints that you never read in full? So in terms of getting our information, these big companies have been really creative, and Cox Media matter is kind of a latest one that goes into our voice data as well.
Yes. So what are the key legal privacy issues involved here? And of course, tied into Cox Media right now?
Well, it depends on what kind of use they try to take out of it. And just like getting our footprints in many different sites, some companies try to find out which sites we go to find out what kind of interests we have. But this one, by having a microphone on, they are actively listening to what you're saying. And with Siri, ChatGPT, and other programs, we get sometimes a good use out of having a app actively listening to you so that they can process our data instead of trying to get their attention every time. But they kind of conveniently cross over that privacy line and have us sign off to give them more data than we want. So it is a privacy issue. But the subtle distinction is that just like in the legislative scheme, whether it is a personal data or sensitive data, that makes a difference. If it becomes they're collecting our biometric data, then it is definitely a very sensitive data. But shopping interests, that's a little bit of gray area. I think that what needs to be done, I think, is that the consent process, it should be more explicit, transparent, and known to the user so that we know what we are agreeing to and we know what kind of rights we're waiving when we are clicking their consent forms.
Yes. And so, Professor, for our listeners who are paying attention and kind of really concerned right now, they might be thinking, well, what exactly is Cox Media? But the thing is that Cox Media is a part of a group that allegedly is partnered up with big companies like Google and Amazon and Meta. So indeed, we are very much concerned because we use apps very much that, are partnered with things like Google and Amazon, these apps that we use every day. So, I mean, should we be concerned right now about how much of our personal data is being used in this way?
Well, I think we should be concerned. But even before Cox Media, there were many different ways that the companies could triangulate some data so that they know who we are and where we go and what kind of interests we have. Their primary interest is to have advertisement money and they find our shopping tendencies. But the Cox Media, this big company that partners with all those companies that have a lot of clickbaits and click numbers.
Yes.
They can get many different angles of data so that by combining together, they pretty much find out all profile of us. I mean, in some sites, they find out our phone numbers. In some sites, they find out our ethnicity. Some sites, some other things. And they have ways of putting all those things together. And that's explicitly illegal in our scheme. But how do we, police them? That is a big issue. And a lot of times we can't.
And when we talk about this illegal behavior, it not only does it bother people, the fact that it's illegal, but the kind of the ick factor, the fact that we're really creeped out, people are creeped out by this, the fact that they're listening in on our conversations, for example, without even having to type in something into our phone. But even 2 years ago, with Google and Meta being fined for collecting behavioral data without proper user consent. So if we had to do a comparison, how would you say legally this compares?
Well, I think it depends on what kind of uses they go by. In terms of privacy and in terms of data privacy, Europe had the GDPR, which is the law that put high emphasis on the consent process and the kinds of rights that we have. And Korea has a similar schemes that follows the global trend. But the problem with both is that they are not keeping up with the technological advances. We didn't have a ChatGPT 6 months ago, or was it a year ago? And this speed of how the technological advances advances and find out more about ourselves,
Right.
kinds of things that we don't even know about ourselves, they'll probably put together as profilers would do. So imagine those kind of things can happen, already happening with the image data and then voice data and then whatever the nuances they can give. It's very frightening, but at the same time, it gives a big homework to the governments and the companies that if the consumers are awaking to the fact that their identity is it's like tantamount to identity being stolen and stored somewhere in a big warehouse. I think that the consent process should be strengthened, and there should be more safeguards that should be put into it.
Professor, speaking of consent, though, like checking or clicking on those boxes for consent, as you said earlier, with all the legalese or with the fine print, I mean, is there any way for this to be made easier for us to actually just be made better aware of what we're actually consenting to? Do you think that there will be a day where this will become reality?
I think that's a very important and good point. A lot of people rush into the site and they just want to get to the good stuff.
Yes.
And so they click, get away, not knowing that they are waiving or they're giving away important rights. So there has to be a awareness that you have to read those fine prints. But at the same time, I think the governments and court should kick into a consumer protection mode so that important rights should be in bold letters, big letters up front, so that we know what we are going up against, rather than being hidden in the fine prints. That's actually what happened in the middle of the 20th century when the courts tried to make important provisions in the insurance contracts and all those consumer contracts in bold letters, in big letters, right? So those equivalent things should be happening in sites where, internet sites where the important rights are being dealt with.
And what would you say to people who might say, well, you know what, if you don't want your data to be misused in any way, then don't use any of the sites. I mean, in this day and age, isn't it difficult to say, hey, don't use that app or that, I mean, to avoid any of these apps, because some of them are already built into our smartphones?
I think that's a very difficult question, saying that, hey, give up your smartphone, give up your computers, give up your digital footprint. That's the deal breaker for a lot of people, especially the young generations.
Sure.
But I think that the counterpoint could be made. For example, I mentioned the GDPR and the data protection laws in Europe. When they're emphasizing the consent right, they also beefed up this right to forget. So if you don't want your data or images from 20 years ago, 30 years ago, then you can ask and let the internet forget you. And that should be a right that you can exercise at any time. So the countervailing rights, countervailing safety protocols and safety nets should be also developed.
And so as AI and all this technology continues to rapidly just evolve and it becomes even more widespread, what kind of other legal challenges do you foresee for companies, that continue to collect personal data without transparency or proper user content? What do you see on the horizon? Do you think that this will become a bigger of an issue?
Yeah, I think that what we have been concerned about so far will continue to be concerned about, things like the data leaks and their usage over and above what we have consented. those would be very, very important safeguards that they have to put against. And I think that what we will continue to see is that the companies like Facebook and Telegram and the latest brouhaha, they will be hauled into Congress or National Assembly and be asked and be put to have accountability for their self-policing and their policies and how they go about their business. A lot of it has to do with the commercial, the profitability that they seek, but they have to put a certain limits as to what can be done and what cannot be done in terms of providing or safekeeping the rights. And then that's a very difficult issue. I mean, we see the Jeff Bezos of the world and the Facebook founders in the Congress, but after that, whether we see a very hard-hitting legislations come out or not, pretty disappointing so far.
And to wrap up our discussion, I was reading up on this, Professor, and it said that Google has since removed Cox Media from its partners program. Meta claimed that Cox Media is under review. Amazon denied that Cox Media was even its partner. So it seems like all the big tech companies are kind of taking a step back, trying to remove itself from this story that broke regarding Cox Media. Do you think that this is kind of, their way of trying to distance themselves and say, hey, we may collect data from consumers, but not in this way. We don't condone listening in, eavesdropping in on consumers' conversations.
It's a significant development, I think. These days, this data has to do with company that we can trust. So if they lose trust, their business is almost as good as gone. So they have to say that they value our privacy, and probably it's the first thing they do. They distance themselves from the companies like Cox Media.
Yes.
But we know that a similar scheme will come back in some ways, but we'll hope that they wouldn't be so, not to be so brazen like the Cox Media. But I'm sure with the advanced technology, they'll come back and try to capture our interest and find out about tendencies. So I'm half resigned to the fact that they will do that. So at some point, I'll probably try to delete all my digital footprints. But that will be a big decision.
Well, thank you for shedding light on this very kind of frightening and worrisome discovery regarding Cox Media. Thanks for joining us today, Professor. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
This was Professor Song Se-ryun, and we talked about this whole concept, kind of mind-boggling, active listening software. And now every time I look at my phone, I have it here too, I do wonder, who's listening in? And yes, maybe the big tech companies say, oh, we're distancing ourselves from software like this. But let's face it, who are we going to trust these days? This was your special interview. And for now, though, we're going to get to our next segment. I'll be back in just a moment.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
It is now time for The Health. And for those of you who are joining us on our YouTube channel, you might be wondering, hey, that's not Bonnie. But for those who joined us last week, they'll recognize. But I'm going to let you introduce yourself, even though some of you do recognize her. Can you tell our listeners who you are once again?
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Annabella, and I've been living in Busan for 5 years.
Yes. And so she's filling in for Bonnie, right?
Yes, I'm filling in for Bonnie.
All right. So what is our topic for today? What are we talking about for The Health?
So today I wanted to dive into something that impacts all of us, which is wellness.
Wellness. This is important.
Yes. So first of all, I wanted to go over what is wellness, because we all know the word, but what does it really entail?
That's true. We hear it all the time.
All the time.
Yes,
wellness,
but what does it really mean?
What is it really?
True.
So I wanted to go over that first.
Okay.
So wellness is about taking care of your body, mind, and emotions to feel healthy and happy. It means making good choices in areas like exercise, eating, sleep, and relationships to live a balanced life. So it's about feeling good in all parts of your life, not just avoiding sickness.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So I wanted to ask you, Catherine.
Okay.
What's one thing you do to work wellness into your everyday life?
Okay, so you said it's exercising. You know, I have been working on the whole, I want to work up to weights. Not quite there yet, but I've been doing a lot more of walking. More on a regular basis, trying to get in the steps. So I'm working my way up to fast walking, hopefully parlaying that into running, and then hopefully parlaying that into weights. Not quite there yet, but the walking I'm doing on a daily basis. So I want to give myself a little mini pat on my back.
Yes.
And then
I'll
what
pat
else?
you too.
Yeah. Thank you. And then the eating, I've been avoiding salty and spicy foods, which is really difficult because I love spicy foods.
Yeah.
Although yesterday I fell off the wagon and I had like spicy pho, like, Vietnamese noodles.
Yeah.
But, I have been trying to, stay off the salty foods.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
So,
good. That's good.
Just too many things.
That's already enough, I think. As long as you're feeling better about, what you're doing and your body feels better, I think
It's a conscious choice though that I've been trying to do. Right.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad.
Yes.
So the reason I want to talk about this is because in order to promote this concept, there is a man named Jacques de Gabriel, which I hope I pronounced right. So he founded World Wellness Weekend. So this is celebrated in 159 countries and around 10,000 venues participate. It's basically an initiative that encourages individuals and communities to focus on wellness and self-care. So it's celebrated annually in September. So this year it was held this past weekend. And it promotes activities that enhance physical, mental, and emotional well-being.
I see.
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about the purpose.
Okay.
So the purpose is to raise awareness about the importance of general health and wellness practices.
Sure.
Also encourage local communities to come together and participate.
Oh, to do it together. Okay.
And it provides opportunities for people to try new wellness activities, which are often for free or at a reduced cost during this weekend.
Okay. So it really might encourage people to get on that bandwagon if it's free or at a reduced cost, right?
Exactly. So kind of having it very inclusive.
Yes, I like that. Okay, so those are the purposes. What else should we know?
So why is it important?
Okay, well, this is probably like the key. Right?
Exactly.
Why is it important?
We all know wellness is important, but I think it's really hard to put it into action. So I think this is kind of like, encourages and motivates people to make wellness a regular part of their everyday lives.
Sure.
Not just on this particular weekend or on the weekend, as we like to push off everything on the weekend.
I see.
And wellness isn't just about, not being sick. It's about feeling good in every aspect of your life. So in a busy world, it reminds us to take time to relax and manage our stress. And it helps build a sense of community since you're doing it with other people who also want to, be well.
Sure.
And that's also important for mental health.
But the thing is, it's all connected, is it not? I mean, our physical
Right.
health, emotional, mental. It's like we can't just have good physical health. Like physically, we're doing okay, but like mentally, not so. I think it's all interconnected, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
So this World Wellness Weekend, it's based on 5 pillars of health.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk about that as
Sure.
well. So the first one is better sleep to grow your creativity. Second one is better nutrition to strengthen immunity.
Sure.
More movement to boost vitality.
Okay.
Enhanced mindfulness to deepen serenity.
Oh.
And highlighted sense of purpose to drive more solidarity.
Okay, so those are the 5 pillars
that this World Wellness Weekend bases their whole.
Right. So, how popular is this? I mean, like around the world, I can see, but like in Korea too?
So, it is slowly making its way to Korea.
Okay.
I think this year there were several venues in Yangyang and Busan.
Right. In Busan, I saw some of the
Not
posts.
yet in Seoul, though. We're trying, I think.
Okay.
So, but it includes big name hotels.
Right.
And other, like smaller businesses which participated and held free events, including things like aromatherapy, Pilates, floating sound bath, sunrise yoga, like beauty class, and so
I
many
saw some
different
of the posts on Insta thing. Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So I actually also participated.
Right.
And it was really fun. It was also my first time hearing about this World Wellness Weekend.
Sure.
So I didn't know much about it, but I took the floating sound bath.
And
And
how
you're
was
just
that?
floating in the pool and listening to sounds.
Is that what it is? Because I saw like the clips and the photos, and I was kind of like, what exactly are you supposed to do?
Right.
It seems really relaxing, and it looks beautiful.
It's so relaxing.
Uh-huh.
You don't realize it, but you just pass out.
Oh, like literally?
You're just I was sleeping.
Oh.
But it was a really cool experience. Where can you experience this?
So you're like floating like in a
swimming pool.
In a pool, like that's what I saw. In a pool.
So it was a hotel swimming pool. The hotel provided their
setting, right?
Venue. And then, people came and they did the little sounds and
Right. So I would
very
assume
relaxing.
that the people making the sounds, that they're experts at this. It's not just random people.
Right.
Okay.
It's people who want to share wellness with the world and promote it.
So the participants, like you, Annabella, were most of them kind of like zoned out or sleeping or relaxing?
I think yes. I think from the videos, I saw everyone was kind of sleeping. I think it can be awkward at first because you don't really know what this is.
Exactly.
But afterwards, I felt really refreshed and very calm and peaceful.
Okay.
So I was like, wow, okay, this weekend, I felt very relaxed.
Okay, so for you, it worked for you.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was nice because I was able to meet other people who also care about their well-being and want to improve their wellness.
Sure.
And so, yeah, it was really nice.
Was there anything else that you were able to experience aside from this? Or was that the highlight of the weekend?
I think that was pretty much the highlight. Oh, wait. I did do sunrise yoga as well.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
And how was that?
It was so nice, but I'm actually really bad at yoga.
You're bad at yoga?
But I just liked the setting, the
Right.
setting of there's a sunrise, it's beautiful. And, I got to work out in the morning.
So you were literally watching the sunrise?
Exactly. So I felt very calm, very I'm accomplished. I did something today. So, yeah.
So would you recommend it for somebody who's never tried it?
I would definitely recommend it to people who have never tried it or don't know much about wellness.
Yes.
And I think it's a very good introductory weekend type, because there's a lot of events during this one weekend.
Right.
So you can try many different things and see, wellness is not just about working out.
Yes.
It's about mental health and, feeling good and everything like that.
So what do you do to kind of have a well-rounded wellness factor in your life? What do you do? Because you asked me earlier, so I want to know what you do, Annabella.
Well, good question.
Yes, so what do you do?
I'm currently trying to improve my sleep.
Your sleep?
Yeah, I think my sleep is really affecting my whole day.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to sleep earlier, like at 10 p.m.
So how many hours are you aiming for?
So I know that I work really well with 8 hours, 8 to 9 hours.
Okay.
So that's what I'm aiming for. But it is very difficult, especially if you have, work the next morning.
Right.
You
to stay asleep.
Exactly.
It's a challenge, I'm sure.
But yeah, so that's what I'm working on right now. Obviously, I want to do it in all aspects of my life.
Right. But one thing at a time, right?
Exactly.
It's
just building those small habits, you know?
All right. Well, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention, World Wellness Weekend. And hopefully we can all participate. If not, this time around, maybe, other parts of the year, maybe even next year if they have it.
Right. Next year, you can always check their website and they have all the venues and events on their map.
Okay.
So you can see where in the world they're having it and you can see where in Busan they're having it.
Yes, and hopefully we can incorporate that every day, not just
right.
one weekend of the entire year, right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Annabella, for filling in for Bonnie. We do appreciate it. And take care.
Thank you for having me.
All right, everybody. This was The Health. It's time to say goodbye already. Can you believe on this beautiful Tuesday with beautiful weather? How long will it last? I have no idea, but let's enjoy it while it does last. Final song for today. Oh, my producer loves giving me songs that I can't pronounce. It's Le Bleu Bleu de Quoi Te. I have no idea what that means. French is not my forte. It's by Carla Rooney. So enjoy. I'll be back tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Du quartier, je suis le bien-aimé. Dès qu'on me voit, on se sent tout comme envoûté, comme charmé. Lorsque j'arrive, les femmes elles me frôlent de leur regard penché. Bien malgré moi, ouais, je suis le plus beau du quartier. Est-ce mon visage, ma peau si finement grainée, mon air suave? Est-ce mon allure? Est-ce la grâce anglo-saxonne de ma cambrure? Est-ce mon sourire? Ou bien l'élégance distinguée de mes cachemires? Quoi qu'il en soit, c'est moi le plus beau du quartier. Mais prenez garde à ma beauté, à mon exquise ambiguïté. Je suis le roi du désirable et je suis l'un des habillables. Observez-moi, observez-moi de haut en bas, vous n'en verrez pas deux comme ça. Je suis le favori, le bel ami de toutes ces dames et de leur mari. Regardez-moi. Regardez-moi, je suis le plus beau du quartier. Je suis le préféré, mes belles victimes voudraient se pendre à mes lacets, ça les abîme. Les beaux messieurs, eux, voudraient tellement me déshabiller, ça les obstine. Bien malgré moi, oui, bien malgré moi, je suis le plus beau du quartier. Mais prenez garde à ma beauté, à mon exquise ambiguïté. Je suis le roi du désirable et je suis l'un des habillables. Observez-moi, observez-moi de haut en bas, vous n'en verrez pas deux comme ça. Je suis le favori, le petit chéri de toutes ces